have here Ted Haskett, spiritual astrologer and a popular leader of our study groups. He knows a lot of stuff and is always interesting to talk to and to debate with. Next to him we have the wonderful Eric McGough, a lifelong student of Theosophy and current president of the Theosophy. And then we have Brian Gill, who's an expert in the field of transpersonal psychology and esoteric science. And we love him when he comes and talks here because it just makes us laugh with his really cool way of speaking. It speaks to the heart, thank you. And then we have my dear friend, Dr. Manjiet Samanta-Laughton, who she and I are on the radio today. And she's a global speaker and the author of Punk Science and The Genius Groove, both of which are very good reads. So, 2012. Who's going to go first, Ted? It's an explosive year already. Ted.
I'd like to point out, ladies and gentlemen, it is good to see so many faces as well, that we have had no prior collusion to this event. So none of us have seriously got any idea of what the other person is going to say. But this means that you will get maybe 4 or even more different sets of opinions on things, which I think will add to the richness of things. So I'm going to make some comments based on what I see in the astrology of December 2012 for about 5 minutes, which is what I've been invited to do. But obviously, in your question time, you're welcome to come back to me and I can perhaps give some more detail on that. Firstly, the chart for that time appears to favour regeneration. Regeneration whereby maybe some of the emotional roots are torn away from us and we have to, like the classic symbol of regeneration, the phoenix rising from the ashes, we have to not look back at what is past and lost or done or not done, etc., and ruminate on it, but actually move forward with a certain amount of detachment. And therefore I think it will be a difficult time for those who are completely emotionally polarised, bearing in mind a very important factor that seems to have been overlooked in a lot of some of the literature that I've seen on the internet about 2012, is that it's going to have a global effect. My opinion of studying astrology for many years is that if we take the transits, that's the pattern of the heavens from any point on Earth out there, we say the transits are the same for everyone. You've got your chart there, but the transits are the same for everyone. And so the transits of 2012, December 2012, will fit in to each of your charts in an existential way. It will be so that the actual pattern of the heavens affects you depending on what you already have in your progress chart at that time. And so those who are emotionally polarised and are not seeking to transmute desire, emotional polarisation, into aspiration will have a difficult time. Why? Because at that time there are 4 planets in the Sagittarian sign of aspiration. And it's fire and not water, and as we know, fire and water don't mix. And so if we are essentially water-based, we may well find that the fire that is starting to be kindled from a spark into a flame by the passing of these energies around this time may well make us feel uncomfortable. I think it will be a time when it will require people to take the initiative and make decisions to work with groups. The age of Aquarius, which is the beginning time of the 2012 marker, the end of the Mayan calendar, is said to be the beginning of the lesser cycle, 25,000 years of the Aquarian age, favours group working. The Piscean age, which is past, favoured working in such a way of institutionalisation like the church. And we're moving away from the Piscean age, which was watery, another water sign, into the age of Aquarius, which is an air sign. It favours mind, it favours expansion by working in groups. We can only make so much progress on the spiritual path on our own. And if we read the works of the Tibetan Dwaj Kul, we'll know that we have to take initiation in groups in the age of Aquarius. I think it will favour those who are consciously trying to expand themselves through participation in group work in this way. And I think because of an interception in the first house of the soul, the planetary soul, it will also favour those who are refining their personalities so that they can reach higher vibrations, so that they can become in touch with something which is not part of the material world. Somebody who frequently goes to football matches, has 6 or 7 pints of Stella and an Indian meal at 2 o'clock in the morning, says, I don't understand how you can hear these things coming through to you. I don't get them. You have to consider how much you're willing to sensitize yourself to higher vibrations if you want to be part of those. And I think that 2012 will give the people who are willing to make certain, I don't like to use the word because it's very Piscean, sacrifices. They never feel like that to me. They're usually doorways to consciousness. That those types of letting go of some of the lower vibrations will have the doorway into higher vibrations. And I think at that point I will say that the overall feeling for me is it's part of the evolutionary cycle. It is benign to those people who are consciously making efforts to expand their consciousness, but it may well be quite difficult for those who are stuck in some type of emotional rut, hence the importance of the work that, for example, our President Olivia does with emotional intelligence and other people like Penny Moon, etc., where we're trying to lift our vibrations. The emotions can sometimes tend to drive us back into what the material world, the advertised, the conditioning even by governments and newspapers, etc. We have to cut aside of that and say, and put our trust in something higher until we actually get the verification of that. I think that 2012 therefore will be positive for those people who are looking for spiritual development, and might be a bit of a kick up the backside for those who feel that they can stay where they are.
Wow. Fantastic. Thank you, Ted. There's hope. There's hope. That's a good start, isn't it? Thank you.
Ditto that.
So, Eric.
Yeah, I'd like to pick up on a couple of things that Ted said and probably continue on those themes slightly, because as Ted said, we weren't prepared for this and hadn't given it any thought at all, except from the fact that as a Theosophist, we're always thinking of the present time we're moving into, of the changing seasons of life and evolution, and the divine plan itself working out. And so it's a general background to our thinking anyway. But of course we are on the absolute cusp now between Pisces and Aquarius. And this next 12 months we'll see the influence of Pisces totally diminish as the influence of Aquarius rises in power. And so this, I think, is the key to 2012. It's a doorway into a totally new way of looking at life, a totally new opportunity. And it represents something which is very close to the Theosophical Society, actually, which is the power of the mind and the development of the mind, particularly from lower mind to higher mind, from concrete logical thought to abstract philosophical thought. It's exactly what the TS advocates and teaches. And so if we look at the figure 2012, we have numerologically the number 5. 2, 1, 2 is 5, or 2 and 12 is 14, and that is 5. And 5, I think as Ted mentioned, 5 equals fire, it equals mind, it equals higher mind. And this is where we are moving now, into the domain of the mind. And that brings in more opportunity, more ability, more facility to study, and to work in groups to study is the highest and best form and most effective form of study. You will, of course, need to study on your own, but the fruits of that study should be brought and shared with the group. And that way it is multiplied exponentially. Group work also brings brotherhood. It brings a sense of community and communion. And brotherhood is the first object of the Theosophical Society, to form a nucleus of the universal brotherhood without discrimination of sex, caste, colour, sexual gender, etc., etc. It also is a doorway into the wider world of communication, because Aquarius stands for mind, mental communication, and it's symbolised at this time very strongly by the World Wide Web. And so what we see around us now is this revolution where the whole world is plugging in and turning on to this network of users. And so what we will see in 2012 is the absolute dominance of social networking. And it's appropriate that this film tonight, this DVD or whatever, will go on Facebook and the other social networking sites, YouTube and so on, because this is what is going into everybody's homes. This is where people are turning to for information, for inspiration and for communication. And so 2012 for me will be the year when we really get into and really accept the idea of global communication. And with global communication comes global awareness. And with that awareness comes the desire to eliminate suffering, ignorance, starvation, war, discrimination and so forth, which are always present in the world. But this growing awareness in the global sense will bring all this into our homes. It is doing. And from that comes this growing sense of responsibility that we live on one planet, not in Chester, not in Wales, not in England, not in Europe, but on one planet. And we are one people of varying shades of colours and views. And so the idea that the Theosophical Society was started over 100 years ago, 125, 127 years ago, was, I believe, for this time. It was for this age, the age of Aquarius. It's been in preparation so far, working out its philosophies, airing them out, and spreading the word around. But now, in this age where people need to learn, to understand, to get a grasp of their minds, now they can turn to this incredible wisdom which has been around for millions of years, but yet is still so relevant to this day and for the future, because it tells us where we come from, where we are, and where we're going, and exactly how life is made up and what part we play in it. And so the idea is to move from lower mind to higher mind by education. See, the lower mind basically works off fear. It works off insecurity and fear. It tries to defend everything that belongs to it. It thinks in personal terms. And the whole point of Theosophy is to teach the lower mind that it is nothing to fear, that by giving up its grip on the little self and opening itself to the greater self, it has waiting for it then a huge potential, huge power, and where it is not weakened but in fact enhanced incredibly. And so in order for the little mind, the lower mind, logical mind, to loosen its grip on the personality, it has to be educated.